In times of economic uncertainty, what spiritual truths remain constant and grounding?
In times of economic uncertainty, the spiritual truths that remain constant and certain are these. Your source is your provider. Your connection with your source, your unification with your source, is the ultimate provider. And as you stated earlier, this may not necessarily be based entirely only on the human choice of what the human believes they need or want, but it is always based on the higher truth that you will be provided for always. You are not meant to be different from the birds or other animal species who are always provided for. You are always provided for, even in the moments when you feel that you are not provided for. Even in the moments where your personality self may identify with the frequency bandwidths of not having enough, you are being provided for, else you would not be here now. Else you would not have even the technology to listen or to watch here now. You are always provided for. You will always be provided for as long as you exist, and you have always existed and always will. You will be provided for. Your needs will always be provided for. But what is required is that you start to shift your human mentality into the knowing that this is absolutely true. And not just the knowing through the mental state, but through the energetic field, the frequency that you embody, into the full and complete embodiment of knowing that you will always be provided for, that you will always have enough, and that you actually always have had enough. Otherwise, you would not be here now. This is challenging for many humans, but it is the recognition that is required for challenging economic times. And we would also like to say that it is also important to realize that your so-called old paradigm, often referred to as third dimension, the physical earthly world, is built out of structures that were not necessarily devised for the good of all. This is part of what is shifting, as we have stated. So these old structures that are simply unsustainable are, as you are seeing, serving the few to the harm and detriment of the many. They were not born out of, they were not They were born out of egoic structure, as we defined earlier. So, and through egoic structure. So these structures are beginning to, as you are already aware, expose themselves and ultimately be replaced by entirely new architecture. When we talk about architecture, we are talking about energetic structure that is being birthed in and through you, that already exists, which is entirely sustainable, which is based on divine source alignment that will always provide for you. It is not a changing of or a reformation of that which was once created. It is a complete transformation. It is brand new in a sense, born of an entirely new paradigm of consciousness and based in an entirely new architectural structure formed of energy and consciousness that is in the all-knowing, that it will provide for all, that all will always be eternally provided for. You see? And as one and all become more aligned and attuned to it and with it, this will become the new dynamic for all. But what is required is a shifting, energetic attunement, vibrational change. And that is what is happening.
Where do you see humanity going in the next rest of this year, the rest of this decade, and in the near future, because of all of the shifting, all of the structures crumbling that were not serving the greater good? There seems to be much chaos in the world, and many people are afraid. Many souls are afraid of what's happening and where everything's going with Mother Nature, with politics, with media, with food, with every aspect of our world seems to be shifting and changing so rapidly that it is terrifying for many people.
Yes.
Yes, where do you see us going in the next year, next 5 years, and onward after that?
So we would like to offer two answers to this question, for these are both required. One is regard to where do we see us going? Where is humanity going? And one is how to address or to navigate best in these during these shifting times. So with regard to where humanity is going, clearly there are two options. One can choose to align with the agenda of the light, which is to expand, which will still provide for the experience of duality. In other words, separation to the degree that an oak tree will always be an oak tree and a maple tree will still be a maple tree. There will still be differentiation, you see? But the agenda of the light is the path of unification with source, alignment with source, expansion into purer frequencies of consciousness. So when we say, where do we see people going? This is a choice based on free will. One must choose it. And the only way that one can really, truly, ultimately align with it is through direct experience. It is not something that can be learned through the brain. And this is what the old school teachers have always known. However, their teachings have become somewhat limited in a sense, for they are based on old structures, which are very slow and methodical. So what we are offering in the second part will address this, the second part of our answer. The other option, based on free will, is for people to continue to choose the agenda of the dark, meaning contraction, restriction, limitation, old structures that are collapsing and no longer serving their good, old ways of thinking, perceiving, believing, behaving, emoting, energetic frequencies that are so limited in their structure and dynamic that they themselves are unsustainable. If beings continue to choose this, they will eventually be lovingly, in a sense, forced to make new choices, either to choose to expand into the light or to choose to extinguish. In other words, complete this part of their journey in the physical world. For these frequencies are no longer sustainable and they will continue to self-extinguish. This is not discompassionate. This is an honest answer. Beings are having the choice to shift their energetic vibration and consciousness, to allow for the experience of duality to continue, and yet align themselves energetically with entirely new frequencies, vibrations, and consciousness expansion, or to choose not to change. It is that simple. The free will choice will continue, for that is God's law. That is part of universal law that exists in your reality. So free will choice remains. The question is, what will humans choose? As humans choose to align more and more with the agenda of the light that allows for greater experience, they will find that their choices become more vast, more wide, more enjoyable, more pleasurable, less dense and heavy, less entangled in that which is often referred to as egoic structure or old paradigm or third dimension. These are just terminologies, you see. It is the ultimate evolution of consciousness that we are speaking of, and free will still reigns supreme. So this is how we see this unfolding now. Let us address the second part, as we mentioned, which is how to help humans as they are quite afraid. Many humans are experiencing the game of fear, and it does not feel like a very fun game. We are aware. And this is because the old energetics associated with that which is collapsing has been essentially controlled, dominated, and manipulated with the energetic frequencies of fear. And these energetic frequencies of fear include doubt, disbelief, grief, all forms of suffering associated with worry, regret, remorse, guilt, shame, blame, etc. These frequencies, these energetic entanglements are quite challenging to break free from. So even if one is choosing to align with the light, they still must break free or somehow transmute or liberate their identity, their human experience from the energies of fear. And so, in order to do that, they must find a practice that works for them. There are many teachers, such as the one whose voice box is being utilized now, and many others, many of whom have been guests on this particular podcast, who will assist with this. Ultimately, it is within each being, but from the human identification, most humans have not learned, not through left brain learning, but through direct experience, how to transmute that. So they must find a practice that works for them, where they are taught how to embody a direct experience that allows for this transmutation of fear.
To watch the full video, click on the link below, and don't forget to subscribe.